would any of you, before I begin, like to offer a recap?
Well, the gang finished their business down in the Undead hole, and just when they were about to leave, they notably apparently disagreed with Millie, and they ended up deciding to go just a bit farther, deeper, if you might say, into the Undead hole. And Lumi and Velynia and Moa went together into a deeper crevasse of the Undead hole. And in that part of the Undead hole, they saw an even deeper section of the hole where there was a religious iconography, a bowl that Moa naughtily suggested that Lumi just stick her hand through and try to grab that thing. And that was a bad idea, and Velynia would have none of it. And Lumi, outliving her maturity a bit, decided that was a bad idea to do, totally on her own. So we're growing and learning here at Mini Terrain Domain, 7 Dooms for Sandpoint. And deciding that they had had about their fill of adventure for the day, the gang decided to finally agree with Millie. And they went back topside, each going their separate ways to spend the evening as they will. And that is, we all did our own kind of thing.
Thank you for the infrequent use of the words undead hole, lest anybody forget what we fixated on. Yes, everybody decided to take most of the remaining day and the next day to do some downtime activities, which is an entire mode of play in Pathfinder 2e. As if you watch that, you know we're still kind of learning a little bit and figuring a few things out, but some of you decided to do some research, learning some new things or corroborating stories independently about the history of the old Thessalonian ruins in town, and finding some connection, or the beginnings of some connection, in the extended tunnels under the boneyard. Additionally, some of you met up with various NPCs. Some of you, believe it or not, met up with very... can an old matronly woman be described as a Lothario? Yes. Is that a gendered term? I don't... We're gonna... Who cares? She's definitely got a very rich past that she is happy to... share her memories. Aggressively share. Some of you chose to attempt crafting skills or research skills. Some of you opted to read in the bathtub. Nonetheless, we did forget to do one thing, and that's where we're going to start. Was one of the pieces of downtime activity that Velynia was going to do the next day. Periodically, Velynia, you described Velynia as liking to help out on the Sandpoint shipyards, helping out Jalevia Stenson, who runs the shipyards. Basically just doing some labor. I had Cari roll before the stream, without telling her exactly what she was rolling for.
That's for... I would have rolled better. If I had known.
But Cari rolled a natural 1 to just do the most basic menial labor possible. So we're going to sort of pick up near the end of that day. You've done this periodic work before over the last many months. So Jalevia has no problem when you just walk on to pay you anywhere from a few silver pieces to upwards of a gold or two a day for your work. and set you to work transferring some crates and barrels and sacks of grain from the dock onto one of the ships for transport. And as it gets to be near the end of the day, Olivia comes up to you. You can see that she's as several of the others who regularly work the docks. They pass by and she drops small stacks of coins in their hands, and she comes up, kind of just rubbing a couple of gold pieces together, and she looks at you, Velynia, and she looks behind you where all of the pallets and the section of dock are completely empty, and she goes, You did all of this yourself.
And it's empty?
Yeah, you took care of everything.
I thought you meant like I had done no work for the day. Okay,
No. The dock, you were moving from the dock to the ship.
Gotcha. Yes, of course. You know me.
I know you often prefer to work by yourself. You had no help.
No. Nope, just me.
Have you ever thought about asking for help?
Velynia's a little bit taken aback, and she would be like, Olivia, if you're going to pay me, and if you're not, just tell me you're not going to. I don't need the questionnaire right now. I've got my mind on some things.
So you loaded all of this cargo onto the ship by yourself?
Yes, and if you ask me again, I'll say yes again. And if you wait a minute and ask me again, I will say yes one more time.
She takes the 2 coins and she slides them back into her pocket. All of this cargo you were to load onto the Ember Wake.
Velynia's stomach drops.
But instead, you loaded them all onto the Windborne Zephyr. That's the Windborne Zephyr. And she points to the ship that has recently left the dock and is already about a quarter of a mile out into the sea.
And fare thee well. Shit.
I'm going to have to... I will take care of this.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, Jalili. I truly am.
It's not hard work.
No, it's not. I'm distracted. It's my fault. I apologize.
She holds up her hand. No nonsense, no excuses. Don't let it happen again. But work is work. And she reaches into her other pocket and she glances in her hand and she holds it out to you. And she drops 5 silver pieces into your hand.
Like just enough to get a couple of drinks. That's perfect. So Velynia accepts it and kind of like nods and like, I'm sorry, it won't happen again.
No nonsense, no excuses. And then she immediately turns away from you, and you see her tracking down one of the assistants on the dock, and already figuring out how they're gonna recall this vessel to deal with this mistake.
I think as by now it's like later in the evening, the sun has set and it's just starting to be like twilight, like purpley kind of dark-ish out, and Velynia kind of like looks down into her hand at the silver pieces here, and she just kind of like jingles them in her hand and takes like a big breath and shakes her head, And I would say, like, on the way back to Mavashti's place where she stays, she would probably put the 5 silver in like a beggar's cap nearby, that she kind of seems like she passes him just about every day, but she just puts that silver there.
Okay.
And keeps walking.
So, for the rest of you, your activities all pretty much took you through the end of this day. Does anybody have anything that they specifically want to do this evening? Or do you all want to meet up the next day? I see Lumi would like to do something this evening.
Yeah, I'd like to have a little scene with in the evening before Lumi goes to bed tonight. But if there's something else that someone's going to do before evening comes, then we'll do that person first.
Anybody else for nocturnal activities?
We could never call them nocturnal activities again. That'd be phenomenal. But, you know.
Oh, the undead hole is fine, but...
Yeah. I have standards. We have standards here at Mini Terrain Domain.
All right, it sounds like it's all you, Lumi.
So Lumi's been traveling around town a bit in the afternoon. She's been going from place to place after hearing about the Hellstorm Flume being a place in that it's from Old Thassalon, from Mr. Broderick, and it's like visible from town, right? The old light.
Yeah, it's a pretty good-sized ruin. If you look at your Sandpoint map,
Mm-hmm.
It's on the northwest corner. It's pretty prominent. I would say, if I don't have it in front of me at the moment, I believe... Yeah, it's the ruin itself is almost as big as the Sandpoint Cathedral is.
Oh, it's right on the edge of town. Okay, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I imagine there's like a hill up near the cathedral. It's getting sunset now. The sun is low in the sky, and she's looking over from this hill, looking down at the ruins of the old light on the beach as the waves whoosh, wash ashore. She has a look on her that is curious but grim. She's ponderous. She's almost like a bit of dread that hangs over her. We then cut to her coming into her bedroom in the Sandpoint Cathedral. It's even more late now. Who knows how many hours it's been since we last saw her here. She steps in and she lights a few candles and sits down at her desk, and she pulls out from this little spot on her desk a big book. This book is not like the other books that Lumi has in her possessions. The words inside of it were not penned by some author that she loves to read. No, she penned it herself. This is her diary. As she flips open, flipping through, she gets a quill, licks it, gets it ready, and begins scratching down a fresh new page. Dear diary. Okay. I'm back in my room, safe, cozy, not underground, not surrounded by horrible gnashing teeth and bone-crunching noises, not watching Moa'Kee fling himself into danger with no self-preservation, not... Okay, deep breath. Phew. Oh, I'm okay. I mean, I think I'm okay. My hands are still a little shaky, and my brain won't stop replaying the worst parts of it today, but I'm writing it all down, so that means I'm dealing with it, right? Right? Right. I think. I don't know. My brain is all wibbly. I just keep thinking about those ghoul-goblins down in the tunnels, how they are all awful and bitey and rotting and smelly and moving when they absolutely should not be moving. And deep breath. I almost died to zombies before. I don't want to die to ghouls now. I hate this. I hate this so much, but I did it. We all did it. We found Nualia's bones, and that means Father can do his ritual with his friend and maybe let her finally rest. That's good. That's worth it. The others were brave, all like, this is just another job. I tried to be like them, really did. But when the first goblin lunged at us, I froze for a second, just a second, but it was enough for my stomach to drop like a rock into the deepest, darkest part of my gut. It was like I was back there again with the zombies, feeling their rotten, nasty fingers clawing at me, pulling me down, choking me. No, 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 no. I'm not there. That didn't happen this time. This time I fought. I held my ground. I survived. I think I did pretty good, actually. The others praised me in their own ways. Maybe I really did do a good job. Oh, also, there was this one goblin that was trapped behind a barricade who was helpful? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, it didn't try to claw at us. It talked to us. It told us where to find the bones, and I think it was scared. Maybe I should have talked to it. But, you know what the worst part is? No, sorry, scratch that. The second worst part, because the worst part is always the undead, was there's this flaming goat demon. It cursed me in Thessalonian. Why does it know Thessalonian? My ancient Thessalonian is a little bit rusty, but I'm pretty dang certain it told me to die with the Helmstorm flume up my ass. That's not a real curse, is it? I'm not doomed forever now, right? Oh, also, speaking of, the Hellstorm Flume is the name of the old plate. It's a ruin from ancient Thassalan. At least that's what Mr. Old Quink said to me. I gotta check it out, even if it's full of danger, but I'll be okay. I've got my friends who've got my back. Oh, speaking of, also, Velynia got really scraped up really bad, but she can be a little bit stubborn sometimes. I'm glad she let me tend to her wounds. Should I have given her the butter then? No, 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 that's stupid. Hey, I brought you some butters you can have while I stitch you up. That's stupid. That's totally weird. Why would she want Millie's butter? We're in a stinky death cave undead hole. Some other time then. Later. Later she'll lead down to me and say in that voice of hers, "Oh, thank you, Lumi. Why, this is so thoughtful of you." And okay, why am I even writing about her now? I should be thinking about the goblins and the demon and not about how she looks when she sharpens her blades. Or how she moves like she already knows the answer to every fight before it even starts. And how when she looks at me and really, really, really looks at me, I get all fidgety and forget what words are. But it's confusing. She's confusing. But she makes me feel safe. I don't know why. I mean, she's scary and serious and kind of grumpy. But when we were down in the tunnels, my brain was screaming at me to run. And then she said my name just once. And suddenly I could breathe again. I don't know what this means. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe you just need to sleep. Maybe I should talk to Natalin tomorrow about that wink and their little rendezvous behind the chapel. I wasn't spying. I was just there. I saw it. They're not a thing, are they? I need to know because reasons. Ugh, my head hurts. I need tea and I need cookies. Maybe I'll go see Millie before bed. She always knows what to say when my brain's all twisty like this. You did a good job, Lumi. You were there for your friends, stood your ground, did the thing, did good, and you got Nualia's bones back. Yeah! That's good, right? Means I helped. Means it was worth it. Means I didn't freeze up and let everyone down. I did something. I did good. Claws crossed tomorrow is less scary. XOXO, Lumi. Z.
Oh my god,
That was motherfucking magnificent.
That was
so
amazing.
Good,
Not the Gossip Girl ending.
dude. I'm so sorry. I dipped at the worst possible time. I'm gonna go back and watch it.
That's all right. We know you immediately rewatch these episodes.
Oh yeah, me and Tamiko. We should just have a fucking shared watch party where we immediately rewatch all this shit.
And
well
then
done.
she closes her book shut. She sits and sighs at her desk. And she thinks for a bit, and she eventually finds herself laying in her bed, but she's tossing and turning. She's tapping her fingers, trying her best to fall asleep, and has a hard time doing so tonight.
Lumi.
Awesome.
Eventually, you do fall asleep.
I hate it when you say it that way. She's about to have a fucking nightmare, isn't she? I can fucking tell.
It's one of those nights where your excitement from the day, your excitement for the new adventure, and everything else are keeping you awake. You're tossing, you're turning, you're afraid sleep's never going to come. and you have no memory of when you actually do finally fall asleep. You find yourself standing in the middle of an empty chamber underground. All around you are the slain bodies of goblins. You're in the goblin warrens below the boneyard, but you're alone. The air is musty, the smell of decay, the smell of blood, the smell of brimstone, fresh in your nose. But you seem to be alone in this chamber, no other sounds. What do?
She's glancing around. She's pressed up against one of the cave walls. She whisper shouts, "Millie, are you there? Natalin? Velynia? Moa'Kee?" As she tries to whisper out the names of her companions,
The dry
looks around.
earth absorbs your words before they're barely out of your mouth. There's no echo. They don't carry down into the other rooms or into that as yet unexplored tunnel. They come out of your mouth and they seem to just die. Nobody answers.
She begins to move down the tunnel, hoping she'll find someone.
As you begin to follow the tunnel, in your memory, it goes up to the northwest and curves around. You know from the Zoduk that when they encountered the Brimmerak, they chose to dig around the bypass. This tunnel, though, in your dream, continues around in a wide, sweeping, ever so gentle arc. You keep going, you keep going, keep going. You feel as though you are descending slightly, always turning slightly to the left. Until finally, you see before you a blank wall, though the floor in front of the wall is scorched and singed. At the top of this room is a Sahedron, a 7-pointed star. Rather than being fully illuminated, sparks occasionally interrupt the flame, raining down and illuminating this area where you stand. What would you like to do?
She strides carefully forward. She tries to graze along with her fingertips against the wall. She's looking up at the rune, the Sahedron. What kind of secrets does this hold? She wonders. She dares not go any further. But something compels her to. Something compels her to get to the bottom of this strange mystery. The Hellstorm flume, the curse placed upon her, the ancient Thassalon ruins below Sandpoint. All of this is connected somehow.
Go ahead and make me a perception check.
It's going to be a total of 15.
You notice that the blast mark on the floor extends partly up the wall, but it's interrupted. There's a void. It's faint, blends in with the stone, but you trace with your talons, your claws, the outline of a door, and as you do so, the stone beyond it, you see a room. And as this door opens, you see, in the light from the sparking Sahedron outside this chamber, 4 dead bodies lying on the ground. You don't even have to step any further to notice Millie, Natalin, Moa, and closest to the door, her face turned towards you, her mouth open in a silent scream, her eyes wide but glazed over, Velynia. In the back of the room, there's a flare of light. As as Millie's body bursts in the flame. Natalin, Moa, and you see pinpoints of light in Velynia's eyes as her body, her hands and arms move as she presses herself into an upright position. And all 4 of your companions, burning, begin to shuffle toward you. The stench of burning flesh, the flames bright in your eyes, as suddenly the Sahedron above your head, and flames, and you jolt awake in your bed. I don't know if kobolds sweat, but whatever the version of a cold sweat is,
they're
got
endothermic. She'll need to sun herself on a rock for at least an hour.
But Lumi, you've just awoken from this nightmare. What do you do?
She awakes with a start. We can see that like her nails, her claws have like dug into her scales on her arms, and she's like gripped tightly into herself, tucked in this like fetal position in the bed. She jolts awake. She's breathing heavy. She looks around the room. She looks into the shadows of the corners of the room. She sees the flame of a candle, still alit, though near its base, as she left one of the candles on through the night. She can't help but see the eyes of her companions in that dancing flame of the candlelight. And she gets up with a start, a quick motion. She jumps over, extinguishes the flame as fast as she can, out of sheer panic and fear.
As
that she sits at the edge of her bed. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as that flame goes out, that's where we'll transition.
Perfect.
To... Had you all agreed on a meeting point?
I feel like
dragon, I'd assume?
Yeah, I feel like we've worked together enough that that's just kind of the assumed rendezvous.
So we'll transition to the Rusty Dragon. Beth Anna is serving up the morning crowd and has drinks and breakfast being prepared for all who wish to partake. But at this point, you're all sort of wandering in and meeting up to plan your next actions. I will turn it over to the 5 of you to figure out what you're going to do next.
I feel like Velynia is there inexplicably before you all. You don't know how she manages to beat you these places every fucking time. It's obnoxious, really. But she is there drinking coffee by the time the second person walks in. I would say she's probably just having like toast. Some toast and some coffee.
Moa stumbles down from upstairs. He slept. There's a faint odor of alcohol coming from him. He didn't go on a bender, but he had a few relaxing drinks last night. Kind of scrolls up to you and is like, breakfast?
Everything's here for you, Moa. I've already paid for mine, as you can see.
Yeah, that's all you're eating?
That's all I need. I don't want to be weighed down.
Okay. Kind of motions for some. So.
You did well down in the undead hole, you know.
Oh,
As chaotic as it tends to be, you do get the job done.
well, I
While no one-
appreciate.
Yes, well, no one is here to hear me say it. Well done.
Of course. Don't worry, lips are sealed that your compliments came to my way.
Of course.
And likewise, seem to have pulled the team together pretty well.
Yes, we do, against all odds, it seems, work very well together. Find a way to get the job done more often than we don't.
I agree. So, who's coming up with the plan next?
Well, I think we can all come up with it together. Once we get everybody together and figure out the extent of the information everyone knows, especially Lumi. She tends to know more about all of the nonsense underneath the church than anybody, and I'm sure she's spent all night researching, Natalin too. And Millie always comes in with the sage advice, just when we seem to need it the most. I wouldn't make
Yes.
any decision without consulting with the rest of them first.
Agreed, very much. You know me, just make the most decisions. Very rarely will I share some input and just point me in the direction you want me to go.
Yes. They make the decisions, and you make the most of the decisions, eh?
No, you just point me in the direction to take care of things, right?
Right.
Yes.
I would clink glasses with him if he has been served a drink by now. Is he drinking an alcoholic beverage this morning? A gentle, like a Bloody Mary, perhaps, or
Surprisingly, no. It's an orange juice that fresh. He's figuring he might actually having to go out adventuring today, so he decided not to drink this morning.
Virgin
think before-
screwdriver is what that's called.
virgin screwdriver. I would before Moa drinks, I think Velynia would like snatch again, almost like freakishly quickly, his drink and like run it under her nose, and then kind of like raise her eyebrows and be pretty impressed that there is no alcohol in
And
it.
while you
Kinda give him
grabbed
a
it,
nod.
while you grabbed his, he grabs yours.
It's just coffee.
Is this-
Velynia, you have only seen Velynia drink maybe like once.
Ooh.
Maybe, and you're not entirely sure it was a drink, like a drink.
I feel like Moa and Velynia, because they're both having a little bit of the feverish nature, have a little like back and forth duel. Which brings up, this will bring up, as he slides another silver coin in the table.
That's what I thought.
Yes, you won, fair and square.
I'm up 5 on you now. You do need to stop gambling, otherwise I
5
might
to
own you.
1.
Yeah.
It's 5 to 1.
Okay, 5 to 1. You better stop before I own you.
That's what's happened. But
I think around this time Millie busts in, and she's she's out of breath, and she's like, "Oh, am I late? Am I early? Am I late?
You are
On
early,
time as
Millie.
usual.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't want to be late. That's bad manners." And she's like, one second, dears. And she's got this little bundle under her arm. It's wrapped in like a cloth.
Hmm.
And she goes up to the bar and she's like, Bethana, dear.
You see, from serving somebody on the other end, you see Bethana, who is a short, elderly halfling woman. She places the food and drink down in front of this person and then comes walking over, and you can see that she's basically at height for most people behind the bar, because she has basically like a mini like balustrade wall behind the bar that she can walk up on and be at the proper height as she comes down to see you, and she just lights up when she sees you. Oh, Millie, it's wonderful to see you this morning.
Oh, the same. Oh, pardon me. I'm out of breath. I just speed walked all the way down from the bait deer.
Gotta keep
Getting a
that
little
heart
hard.
pumping.
Oh, right? Get those steps in. So, I brought this for you. And Millie slides the bundle across the bar to her. And she kind of looks around very, very dramatically, and says, "Now, don't tell Kaeryn, but I made you a loaf with that starter you like, with the sourdough.
Oh.
We'll just keep it between us."
And she immediately, she kind of opens it up and takes and covers it and tucks it down under the bar and says, I'll be sure to save that for later. I don't know why she's Irish all of a sudden.
I love
I'll
that
be
she's
sure to
Irish,
save
keep her
that for
way.
later.
Yeah.
Millie dear, I know you and your young friends are more likely than not preparing to go off on another little adventure. Might I have your ear for a moment?
Of course.
And she kind of a little bit louder, she goes, oh yes, let me show you these over here in the corner. And she kind of beckons for you to follow her, which would pull the two of you away from the bulk of the people. And it's at the end of the bar where she can climb down, and then there's a doorway that leads into the kitchen. It doesn't have like swinging doors or anything, but there's kind of like a I like to think that Bethana's sort of at the forefront of 70s bead curtain culture.
Yes.
It's probably made of like a bunch of
Yes.
seashells from the nearby shore.
Ah.
And there's a little bit of an alcove there, and there's a corner cabinet that just has some random extra glasses and stuff, but it allows you to be out of the way of the door and out of the way of everything, but she can still kind of keep an eye on things. And she says,
So just FYI, in the kitchen, Natalin's in the kitchen also, but
You're not in the
probably we're
You're-
not in the kitchen.
no, you're just this side of the kitchen entrance. You're in the corner of the bar near the kitchen. She says,
Okay, cool.
you and your friends there, you're digging into the tunnels under the church, I hear.
Wait a second. Millie looks around again. You know about the tunnels under the church?
I don't know what's in them. I know that you and your friends, though, went after a certain someone's bones.
Everybody knows everything in this town. Oh my. Well, yes, but we were trying to keep kind of a tight lid on that, but it looks like the lid might have come a little loose.
Somehow. Kaeryn Scarnetti found out what Father Xantis is planning to do, and he is, well, let's just say that he's got his breeches all in a bunch.
Oh, his britches were on fire the other day. We saw him talking to Father Xantis, just giving him the what's for.
He confronted Xantis.
Directly, yes. A lot of words were being thrown around about what Kaeryn thought he was planning to do, and how it's a terrible idea, and let the dead lie, and etc.
Now, between you and me, Kaeryn Scarnetti, he's an asshole.
Right? I've always thought most of those Scarnattis were twats, but you know.
Karen's got the biggest mouth of them all, and unfortunately he's got the ear of quite a few people in town. And it's my understanding that, well, if Father Xantis plans to go forward with what he's planning to do with those bones, there are many people in town that are not happy about it. Now, mind you, had Kaeryn Scarnetti kept his mouth closed, they wouldn't have even known what was afoot. But Kaeryn is making sure that people know.
Well, I don't feel like Father Xantis is going to do anything untoward with those remains.
It's not that they
It's
think
really
that
not in his nature.
It's not that they think that he's going to do anything like that. It's the fact that, well, the word has gotten around that he's wanting to reach out to that woman's spirit and offer forgiveness and absolution.
Yeah, that sounds about the gist
Well,
of it.
there are some
Does the
people in
townsfolk
town.
not agree?
There are some people in town whose memories are quite fresh and are not so eager to forgive, let alone forget. I'm just telling you this so that you and your friends can be aware. If Father Xantis is going to continue with these plans, you may need to keep an eye on him.
This is good to know. I thank you so much, Bethana. I will do what I can to keep an eye on what Father Z is doing.
Well,
I can probably get information about that from his young daughter Lumi if I need to.
well, the whats and the whys and the wherefores are not important to me. I simply wanted to make you aware now. And she raises her voice a little bit. As I was saying, this salt was made by my father, and he taught me how to use it, or how to make it, distilled from the sea itself. Try baking
How
with this.
fascinating! It's so flaky.
And she hands you a small glazed pot that contains sea salt in it.
Magnificent.
So you have a container of
Flaky ass sea salt.
what's the word I was looking for?
Amazing.
Heirloom salt, if that's a thing.
Oh.
Goddamn artisan
Artisan,
salt.
there you go.
Artisan salt.
Artisan
Oh, is
sea
that
salt.
actually what you? Oh, fuck. yeah,
Artisan
dude.
sea salt. There you go.
Damn.
From
Straight from like the farmer's market.
what's the sea? My map's not big enough. What's this? I forgot the name of the sea.
Is it just the
Telefinder.
inner sea? The inner sea?
The sea to the west of Sandpoint. If somebody can tell me that.
Jay.
That's not the Azuan. I will find out in just a moment.
Anybody else? Natalin,
the Parisian
Lumi.
Gulf is what it's called.
Parisian Gulf.
Millie
The
will go
Parisian
out
Gulf.
and join the table. She'll procure some food first, but she will go out and join the others at the table.
And Bethana disappears into the kitchen for a moment and then returns back.
I was gonna say before the two of them disappear, when they were talking there, as Bethana is passing over the jar or whatever of salt to Millie, Natalin is going to come out of the kitchen. Obviously not have heard any of that conversation. She's going to, make sure that neither of them feel like she's heard any of the conversation. But she kind of just goes up to Bethan and just gives her a quick little peck on the cheek and says, the kitchen's been cleaned from the morning rush. Everything has been put away. It's all set and ready. I'm heading out now with my friends. I will talk to you later. And she'll go to the table
as you do that, as you pass by her, she reaches over. She reaches under the bar, and she pulls a small basket, and it has a checkered cloth that has something wrapped in it. It's pretty much just a standard basket with a handle on it and this cloth in it. She says, I don't know how far you're going or what you're doing, but whenever possible, it's good to take a piece of home with you. I've packed you a dozen cheese blossoms.
Oh.
Cheese blossoms, as you know, are spicy cheese curd stuffed artichoke hearts.
God damn.
One of Bethana's specialties. Listen,
Did she bring enough to share?
I'm no Mike Lasham, no Mike the Piper when it comes to describing food in games, but I do have signature dishes, and I do have certain food and drink menus. So I will periodically be dropping you with some tasty morsels of food lore.
Not only this
artisan salt and cheese blossoms.
Not only is this Bethana's signature dish, but it's also Natalin's favorite, and Bethana knows this. So Natalin her eyes are alight with that, and she just kind of reverently grabs the basket handle and bows to Bethana. Oh, thank you.
She just smiles brightly, and suddenly somebody grabs her attention further down, and she heads over to address them.
And I head over to the table, and I'm seeing that, I know Millie's here because she's right in front of me kind of thing. And I see Velynia and Moa'Kee, and as I approach the table, I'm kind of looking around the Rusty Dragon, and as I approach, I'm like, Velynia, is Lumi not here yet?
Velynia always, whenever she's asked that question, kind of takes a cursory look around just to see if Lumi snuck in, but she's so tiny she didn't notice her. And she looks and she's like, no, I didn't see her.
Mm-mm.
That is so unlike her to not be here already.
If I know her, and I think I do, she was probably, her brain was going after our latest adventure, and she was going and going and going and going, and she probably didn't get any sleep. And then when she finally did get some sleep, she just didn't quite wake up on time. She'll be here, but maybe not for a little bit.
And speak of the devil, and she arrives. The door to the Rusty Dragon opens.
Called
and
it!
Lumi steps in, but she is sallow. She is sunken as she enters. She is not chip and cheer as she always is in the mornings. She is bundled up in a big, thick coat. And she strides in, and she says, I imagine maybe Bethana is nearby, sweeping something. And Lumi will whisper something, not whisper, say something really quietly to Bethana. She'll say, I warmed myself by the fire.
Bethana's going to look at you.
We look each other right in the eyes, we're eye height to each other.
Yeah. And she is going to... she gets a 32 on perception. Essentially like sense motive to try to see if she can see if something's bothering you. And she
Lumi's pretty
immediately...
easy to read. Yeah.
She immediately...
She passed the DC 2 roll there.
She immediately puts her hand on your elbow and brings you over. There's a couple of gruff dock workers that are sitting in the comfortable chairs nearest the fire. And she walks over and she looks at the bigger of the two. They're in the middle of telling some ribald joke. And she goes, "Do you really want to finish that joke in front of me?" And this big guy kind of looks down at her and he goes, we gotta get to work anyway. Come on, let's go. And they immediately get up and move out of the way. And she ushers you into the big chair closest to the fire. There. What? You don't have to tell me what's bothering you if you don't want, but you seem chilled to the very bone.
I had a nightmare last night, but
Oh dear.
I actually am quite cold. Could you please get me some tea?
Immediately. And she will shuffle off to get some tea.
And Lumi will then sit in front of the flame. She takes off this big burly coat so that she can bask in the heat of the flame in fullness. And she just sits and just kind of scoots the seat as like a little stool. She's probably sitting on the stool that people normally rest their legs, like to rest their feet on, is the ottoman or whatever. She like pulls the little ottoman up to the fire and she's like rubbing her hands and like trying to warm herself up. But she is quite lost in the dancing of the flames as she, again, keeps seeing her companions inside the flames. As the branches and logs that are in the fireplace here, in her mind, begin to resemble her companions.
Velynia looks over at Millie and just says, "What's the deal with her?"
I'm not sure. I've never seen Lumi looking so unenergetic.
Velynia like looks uncomfortable kind of again and it's just like, well, should we go ask her what's wrong or should we just leave her be?
Let's give her a moment. Like she can sip on some tea and sit in front of the fire. That enormous coat. It's summer.
How is she cold? It's the beginning of summer.
Oh, maybe it's the lizard skin thing.
Ah, ectothermic. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what?
Probably. Nothing. It's a new term I'm trying to coin. It's nothing. The lizard folk, the dragon folk, all of them, they need to get heat from the outside of their bodies, you see, whereas we, mammals, get it from the inside of their bodies. And that's your science lesson of the week here at Mini Terrain Domain. You're welcome.
As you are saying this, Beth Anna comes back from the kitchen, and I like to think... So, two things about Beth Anna that I've realized during this scene. One, you know in Spirited Away, the witches with the big giant heads? Picture those, but normal halfling sized, the hair in the bun. That's how I picture Beth Anna. Two, when she moves, she leans slightly forward, and you don't see her feet move. She seems to almost glide as she moves. You just see that sort of. She does that thing where their feet move very rapidly, so she seems to glide as she disappears into the kitchen.
Small dog in the dog show.
What?
Yes! Her feet are going so fast, it looks like the whole animal is just going, meow.
She disappears. You hear the sort of the shells on the shell bead curtain kind of, and She comes back, and she has a delicate looking china cup, or I guess what's the Eastern inspired land in Pathfinder? Tien.
I think that's the name of the nation and the language. And
So
the people,
yes,
right?
it's very.
Yeah.
In fact, I think
Okay.
Natalin would know that the this cup and saucer are from a set that Tamiko gifted to her from Minkai. That one I didn't need, but thank you, Jay, for dropping Minkai in there. I remembered Minkai. And she presents you with a cup of sweet smelling tea, Lumi.
Aw.
Her nostrils flare up from the smelling it, and she'll look up and thank you so much. And
This
she'll grab it with her two little hands and hold it. And as she's like looking, like turn around to grab it from Bethana, she spies her companions, kind of huddled over on like the other side of the tavern, and she'll say, "Good morning, everyone."
Good morning, Lumi. Are you warming up over
notice you.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, Lumi,
No, I have
sweet bean.
Oh. Velynia wants to help, but this, like, interpersonal relations are a struggle sometimes. She just kind of is like, well, Lumi, how are you so cold? It's the summertime.
and her tail was like flicking around a little bit when she saw her friends on the other side of the tavern, and it stopped moving a bit. I didn't sleep that well.
Bad dreams. Gods, dear, it looks like you've seen a ghost. Enjoy the rest of that tea and sit by the fire here, and then we have some brainstorming to do.
Oh, sorry that I'm late. And she like gets up off of the ottoman, and she's like still like she feels like creaky and still stiff, and she like will stiffly kind of walk over with her tea clutched really close, and she tries to get as much warmth as she can from it, and climbs up onto a chair next to where all of you are, and continues sipping on her tea, listening.
Velynia would say, "You're not late. You're right on time." Well,
Oh, you're brainstorming, you say?
we are about to start. We were waiting for you.
Oh,
Oh,
well, you
it's
can-
not
yeah.
even a drizzle yet, dear.
Lumi,
She like looks outside a little bit, like, what do you mean
A
it's a drizzle?
brain drizzle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lumi, this tea has it is a, as I said, very sweet herbal tea, but you can taste very strongly. You taste apple, and you it has a sweetness almost like candy. So if anything, it's kind of like a candy apple tea. And some of you, those of you closest to Lumi, would notice that she is very subtly glowing with a teal light.
Ooh.
Lumi, you are drinking Sprite apple tea. That this particular tea is giving you a sense of calm. And for the next, I'm going to loosely say hour, but we'll basically say mechanically until the end of this session, you have a +1 item bonus to saving throws against fear effects.
Oh, good.
Additionally,
Oh, good.
you cannot be concealed if you're visible. And if you become invisible, you're concealed instead of undetected. Because when in darkness, you will shed bright teal light for 20 feet and dim light for another 20 feet. It'll take a little bit for the full effects as you're drinking this tea. But Bethanna gave you an alchemical beverage that I created myself based off of a different item.
Mhm.
Basically, you just drink a 40 gold piece cup of tea.
Wow. Wow. What a gift.
You don't know that. I would dare
doesn't.
say Natalin maybe knows that Bethanna might be the only one that knows that Bethanna has the ability to create limited alchemical food and beverage.
Mhm. Bethanna knows that Lumi has a bit of a sweet tooth, and that's why she gave her lots of like apple and honey and sweetness in her tea. She was not expecting this illuminating effect. She probably doesn't even notice for a little bit. She's like sitting, she kind of like looking down in the mug, and everyone can see that she's warming up both physically and allegorically as she's beginning to like swing her feet a little bit as she's sitting, and her tail's like flicking a little bit as she's getting used to, getting warm again.
Anyway,
Then what
look,
were you
we were waiting for you, dear. You tend to know the most about all the goings on in and under the church, as it were. We were hoping that
me?
maybe you had more to offer about the tunnels and the warrens, and any additional information would be helpful, so we can plan.
So I don't know too much about the ruins that we found under the cathedral. It doesn't seem like anyone knows about them, but there was a ruin. Well, it's called the Hellstorm Flume, and that's where the old light is. And well, if you remember, that's what the the little well, it's not really little. I shouldn't say that goat demon. That's what he said to me. He mentioned it offhandedly when we were down there, the Hellstorm Flume. Well, apparently the old light was an old ruin from ancient Thassalon, a great tower now reduced to rubble. And well, if it is that, then it makes sense that there's going to be structures underground that are connected to it. And
why would there be structures connected to an old lighthouse?
It's not
and
a
what
lighthouse.
did you say he called it? The something that sounded
Hellstorm
way more badass than the old light.
Yeah.
Why did they call it that?
Well,
Because it's round and it looks like a lighthouse. That's not hard to deduce.
I meant, why did they call it?
Know what it was for.
I meant, why did they call it the Hellstorm Flume instead of just calling it the old shitty lighthouse?
Jake, remind me, did Brother Quink tell Lumi what he remembered its purpose to be?
Yes.
That being
Sorry, got the notes
that
open,
being
yes.
that being
Yes.
zapping its foes, right? Okay. Well, it's not a lighthouse, but a great structure of war.
Well,
Like
that is
a siege
interesting.
tower?
Well, kind of the opposite of a siege tower. It's not like it's being trucked around by soldiers to go do war. It's more like the other way around. It's where, I guess it's what do you call them? Just like a defense, a castle defense, but it's magical. At least it was back in the day. Apparently it shoots great fire, and that's where it gets its name Hellstorm Flume from. But as you can see, it doesn't really stand up much, and there's nothing to shoot flames out of. But if it's a big tower,
it was a weapon.
Yeah, a weapon of war. Yeah.
Do you reckon that that's the weapon that the
10,000
goblins
years
were
ago.
digging for?
Well, so the thing is, a Hellstorm Flume like that, well, it wouldn't just be like a lighthouse where it's just like a little house that stands up. Well, it would be having probably a lot of internal structure and a fortress below the ground that well, would have not been below the ground in ancient times, or maybe because that's how the dirt has moved and stuff. And well, that's a theory of tectonics, but we'll get into that later. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it could very well be what those goblins were talking about. If there's something beneath the Hellstorm plume they're trying to get to, well, that's right beneath our feet.
I have a question. How does Natalin look this morning? Does she look well rested, or does she look like she, I don't know, researched all night or something like that?
She looks like she researched all night, except that she also looks like she normally does and is well rested. Like, I don't think there's much difference there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I would nod at Lumi's information, and then I think Velynia would look over at Natalin, knowing that she is also kind of the bookish type when the rubber meets the road. And she'd be like, well, Natalin, you tend to have your nose in the pages as well. Anything to add?
I find this Hellstorm plume fascinating, but I know nothing about it.
The fact that there was a demon there, well, demons, we know, are more connected to, well, I say we, my apologies. The demon, with demonology and summoning like that is mostly connected to the old rune lords of the past. And, well, the Hellstorm plumes, this one at least, maybe was used by one of these rune lords. What I'm trying to say is there could be more demons.
She says, taking a sip of the tea just like that. Fucking, what I'm trying to do. Dude. Velynia, like, shakes her head and be like,
Oh my.
we dealt with one. Any idea how many more?
Well, the thing is, it's been a long time since they would have hypothetically been summoned, and if they were to be banished for any reason, whether that's through mortal defeat or some kind of dispelling or their own whimsy, they wouldn't be able to get back. So it's not like they're coming from anywhere, but if they were stuck here, they'd be stuck for a long time. What I'm trying to say is I have no idea.
Didn't I thought the Thessalonians used to summon and bound quite a few demons in their army to their locations.
Yeah,
but they have multiple ones, so we could be seeing anything from 1 or 2 to 20 or 30, depending on where they are.
That's
we
not
also
even
don't
counting
know how big the structure is, too.
That's not even counting the 30 to 40 goblins that are down there that we know of.
Yes, this kind of changes how we'll be looking at things, because
Was that the 30 to 50 feral gobs?
demons seem significantly more dangerous than the goblins.
Speaking of which, are we gonna take care of those goblins that are sitting around, or ghouls, whatever, in that one room?
That's what we're trying to talk about and decide, Moa'Kee.
Well,
Thank you for tuning in.
If they're down there, then they'd be a threat to all of us, wouldn't they?
Yes.
There's a whole
That's my
nest
point.
of them.
Are you speaking about the secret door in the ghoul warrens?
Yeah, the place that Natalin found.
Yes,
Well,
that place.
So that's one way we could go. There's the option of going and cleansing out the ghoul warrens. There's also the option of following the path that we haven't looked at, and maybe finding an opening that somebody can fit through into the ruins. I feel like they're both equally dangerous.
Pardon my verbiage. I tend towards the devil that I know. I know how to kill goblins. If there's some down there, I say we take them out first. Perhaps afterwards we will feel, stronger. Perhaps leveled up in a way. And then we can take on the demons afterwards. But that's just my vote, and this is a democracy.
Well, if that's the case, I would insist that we have some kind of a fight plan in place for dealing with potentially several of them at one time.
Of course, of course. Moa, you had something. I apologize. A suggestion.
I'm just democratically raising my hand. I would rather take out the secret door niche creatures, and because if we go searching and they somehow breach that door, our exit's cut off, and now we're trapped between two foes. That, which I don't like. Take out one foe, then move on. Search would be kind of my vote. Similar, agreeing with Val.
But take it slowly. Essentially, my plan.
Yeah.
Slower. I don't
Well,
disagree with that.
Yeah.
I know that I'm often one to be a little bit more inclined to checking out ruins from Old Thassalon, like that one time that we went. And remember those harpies? Oh, okay, sorry. But I have a bit of I have a bad feeling about this one, and I'm okay if we look at some other stuff for the meantime. Also, have all of you noticed that I'm glowing a little bit?
Yeah.
It's not just me, right?
No, you are indeed glowing a little bit.
Mo is looking at his drink, thinking that there was some alcohol put in there.
I want to sense motive, Lumi, and I want to know, is this bad feeling she's having like from a genuine place, or is it just from whatever fucking self-confidence hoojibu that she's having a hard time with? Like, is this like a sense, like an actual magical sense of some sort she's having, or if she's just having some self-doubt?
So, again, Lumi is extremely easy to read. She wears her emotions on her sleeves. She
free sense about check.
Yeah. She's definitely she doesn't know, or she seems to be like very, very hesitant about exploring the Thassalon ruins below the cathedral, because of the nightmare that she had last night, and has a bit of nerves about the place. You probably can't tell why she has nerves about it. She's normally quite interested in checking out places like this, but it's definitely not some kind of supernatural sense that she has.
No. Okay. I think Velynia would notice her trepidation kind of beyond what she just like, I'm not sure. And she wouldn't like draw attention to it or anything, but she notices, she takes note. Like, so yes. Please, Millie, your sage wisdom.
I don't often say these words, but I think in this instance, Moa'Kee is correct.
Oh, you're serious? Oh.
Well, he makes a very good point about if they get past the barricade that we made on that secret door, they could very well cut off our exit, which would be bad news bears.
Yes, it would. Well, all right. Well, I think that we are in agreement. Natalin, do you have any terribly pervasive feelings on the matter? I think right now we are in favor of going down into the warrens slowly, one goblin at a time, goblin at a time.
I think when we can, we should try to pull them back, bottleneck them in the narrow passages.
Yes. Like Leonidas and his 300. Classic Varisian
I'm not
legend.
familiar
Anyway.
with that adventuring party.
Yes, it's legendary. Don't worry. There's a whole play about it. Anyway.
Can't believe there were 3 different people all named 100.
Nice.
So, Natalin, any feelings on the matter?
They must be dealt with as soon as we can. We cannot let this threat last under the city. I did spend much time trying to look into anything I could find out about these kind of creatures, but I'm afraid I did come up a little short. What I did find out was that poisons and death effects are going to be useless against them, and they have the ability to, she kind of swallows, eat the most recent dead and gain health from them.
Oh. Velynia was like halfway into a piece of toast, and she's like, and she just like puts it down. She's like, well, that's unpleasant.
Are you talking about recently deceased alive people or recently deceased already dead people, or does it not matter?
No, it was more recently deceased, and it didn't have to be people. It could just be the recently perished. I don't know if they can. I don't even want to think about it, actually.
We don't need a ton more detail.
That does
And
pose
they
an
could
issue
stink.
underneath the boneyard.
I suppose it could. Perhaps that's why they were digging up and under. Not just to get Nwalia's bones, but just to get any bones. And meat. Ugh. Well, so we should go in, slowly take them out. Any weaknesses that you found, Natalin, since we're on the subject?
Could not find anything about that. I searched. I could not find anything. Unfortunately, I am so sorry. I have failed you, Velynia.
No.
Oh well, don't you know that they're weak to sage leaves and vinegar sometimes in these current phases of the moon, and also rusted iron is another way that you can dispatch any kind of undead creature. And there's also mustard seed. Mustard seed is also really good against the corporeal undead. And
they also tend to be weak against getting their head chopped off. I remember that quite well.
And a strange one that I've found is bread as well.
You're just naming snacks, Lumi.
And like you hear a little stomach grumble.
All right. Well, I'm gonna run and get my armor back from Sava. I will meet you all at the boneyard in, say, an hour.
Well, that sounds fine with me.
All right. And Velynia would take a couple steps and then reach back for her half uneaten toast. And I just kind of like look at it and kind of smile over my shoulder and say, I'm sure I'll be hungry for this in about a half an hour. And she just takes it with her but doesn't eat it after all the talk of bread and undead food.
And so you all go your once again to your various homes and places to get your belongings you need to make another foray into the undead hole. And that is where we will take our break. We will see you all in about 10 minutes.
Down in a hole.
And we're back. We are going to pick up with you all, last of you scrambling down into the undead hole once again. You've been up and down enough. You've placed ropes and assists, so there's no more need to roll dice to make athletics checks to go up and down here. But you are back down in the tunnels, or in that tunnel, and you can move into that main room where you see the bodies of the slain goblins, Zoduk and Glorka. I almost said Gortash. Wrong game.
Gore-Tex. Yes, Gore-Tex the goblin. Mm-hmm.
You can see down in the southeast corner where you barricaded that secret entrance that you found to additional tunnels. And to the northwest is the continuation of the excavation of the goblins, leading further under the cathedral and westward. What would you all like to do?
Right. Well, we did end up barricading the one wall to the Goblin Warrens,
Yep.
right? We did end up finally doing that?
Mhm.
Okay. Like, all right, well, are we all ready?
Which we took the barricade. Was the barricades moved, or like some? Did we notice that? Was there any attempt to open the door that we barricaded?
I guess you'll have to make a perception check to
I'd-
investigate that.
I think I probably would take a peeky as well. That's kind of in my nature. Here I go.
That would be
Ah.
a 22.
I got a
totally would.
28. You see that, you bitches? That's how you roll high. Fuckers.
She was not trash
28.
talking us. She was trash talking her dice.
No, I had them. Yeah, they need to see how it's done.
Yeah, you can tell that this barricade, not only is it not broken down in any way, you can tell that it doesn't look like there was even an attempt to push through this.
Well, it seems like we're probably going to take them by surprise. So I suggest we move quietly, stealthily, and probably in about the same order as we did last time.
Lumi
Wow.
looks up, revealing the fact that she's glowing down here. About that, I don't
Who's
think I
going
should
to
be
be
trying to.
scouting?
I don't think I should be up ahead. I'm too
I
easy
think
to
I
see
should.
now.
I should, or Moa should.
I can take the lead. And Moa, he snaps his fingers and casts a spell. Flames, kind of greenish flames, kind of come around his hands, and then he kind of goes into a stance, and his eyes start to glow green. It's his standard stance right before getting into a fight, and he's like kind of focusing. He's like, ready when you are.
It should
Right,
be
very
noted
well.
that Lumi is glowing a bright teal, casting a teal illumination for 20 feet, and then another 20 feet of dim teal light.
So
Well-
Lumi's in the back?
I think Lumi should be in the back just this time, but Lumi, if anything goes wrong, you just shout.
I'll be right there with Lumi.
Okay.
Good. Perfect.
And she
perfect.
reaches down around her gear, and she has a little hand crossbow that she's got readied.
All right. So I say, how about we spread it out a little bit more? Moa and I go 20 feet ahead, then Millie, and then Natalin and Lumi.
When you feel like you're ready for it, dear, let me know and I can make you disappear for about 10 minutes.
Wow. All right. Well, I will. That's very useful. Moa, shall we?
Let's.
And I think I would go right with Moa. And Millie, maybe, what do you think, 10, 15 feet back?
Yeah, Millie's gonna count, like, under her breath, 1,000, 2, 1,000. She's gonna go at 21,000.
Perfect. And then, yeah, all right.
All right. So moving forward.
Okay.
Yes,
So
you
just
and I
to
are right together.
reiterate, just so I'm clear on this, what was your marching order again?
Me and Moa are like right together. Moa in front. Like if it is truly has to be single file, it's Moa right in front, but I'm like right behind him. And then there's some space, and then Millie, and then some more space. And from what I'm hearing, tell me if I'm wrong, I think Lumi and Natalin are kind of together.
Yep.
And if we have to go single file, then Lumi could go right in front of me so that I can protect her back.
Because you can see over me.
Watch
really
your
easily.
six.
And I can
Yeah,
see
right.
over you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because you're illuminating the way.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we're not all clustered together, right? But we also want to make sure that Lumi's far enough back that she's not giving away our position.
That was kind of my intention, spacing us out, but the not clumped together is also a good byproduct.
So, first, I need stealth rolls from everybody.
All right.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. Let's go. 27.
12. Dice did not like me.
Okay.
19 stealth for Lumi.
Okay.
18.
Sneaky.
Lumi, you have a -2 circumstance bonus to
Makes
your
sense.
stealth from your
17.
glowing. So 17, 18, 12, 22,
27.
And
Sorry, I didn't put
27.
mine in
You're
chat.
grading on the curve, right, Jake?
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah,
So I'm
obviously.
not telling you.
Ah.
100.
Sorry.
So-
Yes, I rolled a 277.
277.
I
She
vanished
is
from
stealthy.
I vanished from this existence.
You hide from yourself. Yeah.
I can't. I've lost myself.
You stop being.
So additionally, everybody's perception. Whoops. Hold on. Everybody has a perception DC that is your perception plus 10. Can you tell me, Moa and Velynia, what your perception DC is?
20.
16.
Okay.
Is that kind of equivalent to passive perception? Is that what I'm gathering?
Kind of. I
Okay.
don't want to
Yeah,
mess
okay.
around with trying to do secret rolls, and I still don't fully have all your
That's
guys'
fine.
information yet. So eventually, I'll get around to having my little cheat sheet up with all of your info. Readily, I have it. It's just not readily available at the moment. But I just don't like messing with the secret rolls and stuff. Because I can't freak you guys out if I'm secretive. So you open this door and you move in at the ready. These tunnels are only slightly wider than the initial tunnel that you followed through Nawalia's grave down into the Goulbin Warrens. This tunnel is also, you can see the claw marks that dug the tunnels. You can see that the walls and the ceiling are braced with timber. They're at intervals such to prevent any sort of collapse. Whoever dug these tunnels took care. You're moving in, Moa'Kee in the lead, Velynia just behind. You're spaced out, Millie in the middle. And there is a little bit of a peculiarity for those of you that are able to see in the dark. Moa'Kee, do you have a light source? You're one of the humans, and you're in the lead.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking, that because of Lumi, where she's at, that's going to make it difficult unless I do have a light source going.
I thought you said you have dancing lights. No.
Well, kind of. It's a light spell that I just put on something.
Oh, then, okay, that's your illumination.
Yeah, that's my illumination.
And you do also have this sort of, the rest of you from behind, shadows are kind of playing on the walls a little bit. This teal light that's coming from Lumi, from the alchemical tea. You maneuver through this tunnel for a little ways. It winds around. You can see up ahead there are a couple of branches off from the tunnel. To the left and to the right. Perfect for an ambush.
I put my hand on Moa's shoulder and can I hold him back or signal
you're
him
not
or
to
something?
them yet. You just see them up ahead,
Okay.
and Velynia grabs your shoulder to caution you, Moa.
Yeah.
And
I would whisper to him and be like, "We should be extra cautious here. They could attack. They could jump us right there."
you hear a sound of movement. You can't quite tell which tunnel it's coming from. It sounds like a shifting. And then Moa and Velynia, you see from the second tunnel back on the right, you see a figure step forward. Hands out like this. You see the elongated fingers, the chipped, cracked, desiccated, dry nails. And then the rest of them comes out, and you see wispy hairs on an otherwise bald head, long elvish-styled ears. Most of the flesh decaying away, revealing an almost Cheshire grin of exposed teeth. Aghast, steps out, hunched over, lowered, hands in the air. It wears round spectacles, slightly askew, one lens cracked, a necklace with what looks to be knuckle bones and 3 curled, dried fingers of humanoids, tattered remnants of clothing. As the ghast steps forward, arms raised. Please, why are you coming? Please, come no closer. I exude a stench that those who are not accustomed or prepared for it can find overwhelming. Please, I wish to parley.
Is he coming towards us still?
He
Is he coming towards us
He
still?
stepped out, but has not
Okay.
moved closer to you.
All right, very well. Parley from right there. What do you want? What do you have to offer? Quickly.
Lumi's trying to, what's happening over there?
Why are you here? Why are you invading our home?
We plan to rid you of this place. Peacefully or otherwise.
Some of your kin have desecrated our graves up top.
This ghast, when you say kin, hisses, and you hear from the tunnels, the side tunnels behind him, several voices. No kin, no kin. Foul. And you speak of the goblins. Yes?
I suppose if you could still call them that.
Goblin ghouls.
Yes, them.
Foul interlopers. We were coerced into allowing them into our warrens. We
Coerced by whom?
Tyrannical goblin by the name of Ribnugget. We mean no harm. We've dwelled peacefully beneath the boneyard for decades, causing no harm. We don't dig into the graves of those above. We secure, and he kind of pats at the timber nearest him. We secure our diggings so as to prevent subsidence. We don't want to bring anybody from the town down upon us. We just want to exist in peace.
If you don't survive on the remains of our remains, then how do you survive down here? What do you eat? How do you subsist?
There are some questions you may regret asking. Are you sure you want the details?
I want to know that it's not our dearly departed.
I've told you it's not. Our tunnels extend far away. But we find this to be the safest place to dwell. We procure our meals from elsewhere. We do not defile your graves.
Where do these tunnels lead to? Exit, you say?
There are exits all over the place. Some of us have been here for a generation or 2 or 3. Most exit into the hinterlands.
I would put my hand again. I would put my hand again on Moa's shoulder, kind of more gently this time. And if he turns and looks at Velynia, she would kind of give you an eye, insisting that we probably should run this by the others.
And he kind of gives the, yeah, he has a few more questions types, but yeah.
Please, yeah, but
and
she would nod.
And he kind of looks back and goes, you need to answer this question truthfully.
Ask your question.
How many are you in your numbers here? It will affect our decisions and what moves forward.
What assurances do I have if I tell you our numbers? You won't immediately slaughter us.
You don't?
If your numbers are big enough, then we wouldn't likely try now, would we?
Sure.
You put me in a difficult position.
Yes, but if there's 5 of you, that's understandable. If there's 30 of you, you pose a bigger threat to up top.
There are more than 5 of us, but nowhere near 30. I would like to offer you a deal. For you and our companions. To show our willingness to procure our safety. First, if you allow us to stay here in peace, we will promise to continue to leave the top side alone. Furthermore, we will meet any further goblin ghoul incursions with violence. They will no longer be welcome in these warrens. I can offer you something else. Bring them forward. Bring them forward. And you see behind this ghast 3 smaller ghouls, not goblin ghouls, but ghouls, come out into the open, and they are carrying some items. One of them is holding a shield of some kind. Another one holding it in a way so as to appear like, hey, I'm not trying to use this thing, is holding a wand. And the third one is holding up a by a strap, basically a pair of goggles.
You're speaking your love language there.
I was just gonna say, yeah, this is gifting.
We would
I would
offer these to you as gifts and proof of our promise to remain hidden.
Could we assume by this point, Millie and the others have kind of buttressed up against
come
where
up
you guys
a little
are?
bit.
I mean,
Probably.
even if
Lumi
you
would be, like,
didn't, you
tugging
would.
at your hem, Millie. Yeah.
Even if you didn't, you all are able to hear this. These.
Okay. Millie's got an arm out. She's doing the soccer mom arm save, Lumi. And
the minivan seatbelt.
Yep. And whatchamacallit, Millie's going to whisper to Velynia and Moa, because you're there too. She's
Yeah.
gonna whisper. They say they've been down here for decades. Can they prove
Yes.
it? If they can offer proof that they've been down here with no ill intention, that might help.
Well, didn't Father Xantus mention that this grave robbing rash has been a fairly recent advent? I mean, if they've been down here this long and they haven't touched anything, but I mean,
I
looking
don't
at their
recall, but that tracks.
looking at their squalid pallor, I have to assume that they have not seen the sun in many
Well,
years.
they're undead, dear. I don't think they tan.
That's a phenomenal question. We should do some more research on that matter. But
Undead
No.
tan line.
How does the
Undead
sun
tan
affect
line.
undead?
I think
belie-
at this point, you guys are all you start to feel
Uh-oh.
the air start to
Crackle.
moisturize, if you will, and it
God.
starts to get a little bit windy. It's not a full thing, but you can tell probably you guys have been with her long enough that you can tell that Natalin is not happy. Like this is some inner rage is coming through that she never shows on her face. Like if you looked at her right now, you wouldn't see it, but you can feel it as the air is charging. Yeah.
Moa,
I would look concerned over Millie's shoulder, and I can see Natalin and Velynia's on edge.
Moa directs his attention to this gas. What name do you call yourself?
I am Volga Rabs.
And do you have proof that you've been here for decades?
My people and I, we dig with our hands. You've seen the warrens that you entered through. You see these tunnels. How they are
Velynia
dug.
turns and is like she runs her fingers over what are clearly like claw marks.
You see how they are reinforced. It takes years to dig and reinforce tunnels like this by hand. Just a reminder that at any time, anybody can attempt sense motive.
Yeah.
I think I would be doing
Yeah.
this as well. Yeah.
I don't
Lumi
have an
believes them.
engine. I don't know much about engineering, but I would think that since we're almost directly below the cathedral,
You're not.
that we're not.
No, you
we're a
went
ways
the
out from
opposite.
under
You
it
went
now.
away from the cathedral in this tunnel.
We're east
Yeah.
of it now.
So
right?
we're under
Yeah.
the town.
No,
now?
you're under the boneyard still.
We're under the
Oh,
boneyard.
okay.
So where you entered is very close to the cathedral. Moving left or west to where the goblins were digging goes towards the underside of the cathedral. Going to the southeast, these tunnels kind of stay in the general area underneath the boneyard.
My brain is tingling. With brand new information. I think that I'm no engineer, but the way that these tunnels are shored up, if they were snacking on the dead, there would be holes above us.
Correct. Velynia, all the while he's telling his like story, she's like watching his eyes and watching his mannerisms, and like as he glances back at his comrades, like how quickly all those like little micro expressions. And I got a 29 on my sense motive.
With your sense motive, you are able to determine that Volgar Rabs seems sincere in what he is saying.
You see Velynia like take a deep breath and like sigh, and her sword has like a little less tension in it all of a sudden.
May I speak? Lumi pipes up from behind Millie.
You don't need permission, dear. Yes, you may.
Millie moves her arm so you can get by.
So she says to the 5 of us, the 4 of you, in a hushed tone, listen, I've been doing some thinking, and, well, between what happened with Nualia and happened with me, and even sometimes some of the tribes of goblins that live nearby, it's important to give people second chances, I think.
Not even entirely sure that these people have erred. I think
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. Is, well, many people would look at a creature like me and think that I'm a monster. If I wasn't raised in Sandpoint, that is. If I was out wherever I came from.
That thought stings. It stings Velynia to think about. And like she kind of like physically shrugs a little bit at that.
And, well, you remember the story with Nualia. People put what their ideas of her were onto her, and it made her be someone who she isn't. And, well, I think what I'm trying to say is if we treat these people like they're monsters, they will be monsters. And if we don't treat them like monsters, then, well, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. But
you're speaking from your heart, Lumi, and I, for one, tend to agree with you. My concern would be, would your father feel the same?
We don't have to tell her father.
We should have this conversation back in the hall.
I agree. And I kind of like, as Moa says that, my eyes kind of drift to Natalin. I agree, back in the hole.
Wargore.
When you look at Natalin, when you look back at her, you can see that her face is extremely rigid. She's going like she's eyeballs to one person, to another person, to another person. Yeah, her face is pretty, the poker face is there for sure. So you're having a hard time. But what you can definitely notice is her arms by her side, like completely stiff, and her hands are in fists, clenched so hard you can see them like the white knuckling going on. Like, Natalin is not enjoying this conversation.
Yes, I do believe back in the hole is the best place to have this conversation. And she says it more forcefully that time, kind of giving Natalin like a get your ass back in the hall kind of face.
Wargird, we are going to step back and discuss your plea in good faith. For your good faith,
Sit tight. Don't go anywhere.
Bring those items to the hall after we leave.
And if you have any notion about following us down this tunnel, don't.
We have no notion of following you, but these gifts are conditional upon you agreeing to the terms of peace. And the small technicality
I think it's fair
of
for
a...
everybody if you hold on to the gifts for now.
Millie, I was going to suggest after we leave, they set the gifts towards the entrance of the hall. If we decide,
don't know if we've agreed or not.
if we go back in and take the gifts, then they know that they agree. We agree.
An agreement will only be finalized upon receiving your signatures upon a contract.
Ooh, they're lawyers.
Oh my god.
Or at least
And
Mr. Walter
he sort
was
of
in
he
previous
sort of
life.
pushes up
Yeah.
his partially destroyed glasses as
I
he
didn't
says
know
this.
it was Wolgar Rabs Esquire, Rabs, and Ushtar, or whatever the fuck their names are. God damn it. So yeah,
But
Velynia's like,
it would
let them
make
keep
sense that lawyers come back as ghouls.
Yes. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Throwing it
So
out there.
accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's canon. I would look at Moa and I'd say, let them keep their trinkets for now.
What Moa does want to take a look at that. Kind of look at that wand for a second, even just the well, he would. He's
The
not
dis-
gonna be able to
just-
identify
Moa,
it.
close your mouth, dear.
Just a reminder, you are about 15 feet away from them, so that's about all the closer you can
Yeah.
see, unless you move
That's
closer.
fine. Nope, that's fine. We'll be back with a decision for you. Agreed? As he looks back at the group.
Agreed.
We're not going anywhere. We'll be here.
Well, it was
And-
great meeting you, Mr. Wolger.
Come
It's
along now.
Wolgar Esquire.
Let's go, everybody out. And Millie's just kind of gently nudging Natalin back towards.
Let's go. Ope.
Yeah, there's a bit of resistance. But then she just
Oh.
kind of
Bro.
turns abruptly and stalk off.
So you head back into the main chamber of that sort of dining hall, if you will, of the main warren.
I don't think
Yes.
Natalin stops there. I think she's going to stalk right on back up. All the way. So if you guys want
Natalin.
to talk in the thing, but she's
Natalin, wait.
gone.
Fuck.
She's going to go she's going to go find Father Xanthus at this point.
Don't.
Oh.
Don't, you fucking tattletale. You fucking narc. Don't do it.
So yeah, Natalin leaves the undead hole.
God damn it.
Wow.
Narc.
Narky Natalin going to tattle on us. All right.
Well,
Wow. Oh no.
kidding.
Ah.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Moa's
no,
kind
this
of
is
like
good.
Moa throws out like, it's not our decision. It's not necessarily our decision for this. This affects Sandpoint. We need some higher authority to make a decision.
So
no, this does not affect Sandpoint, and that's the point.
I have
They are
an
not
idea.
attacking.
I have an idea. Hear me out.
Please.
What if they're true to their word and they mean us no ill intention whatsoever, perhaps they would allow us to survey their warren so we could determine where any of the egress points are. If at any point they turn on us, well, that's our answer. But if they allow us to explore the tunnels, we can then figure out where we need to barricade or shore up to make sure that they stay contained down here. They win, we win.
Millie, that's brilliant.
Hmm?
I agree. Lumi, I can't help but have a sneaking feeling that Natalin might be making a beeline for your father to ask for guidance or otherwise fill him in. Should we stop her? Should you get there first?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Because he's your father.
If anybody has any influence over Father Xanthus, that would be you, dear.
Listen,
We are
what
just
do you-
hired hands. You are his daughter.
What do you feel is the right thing to do, Lumi? With your heart?
I just look at, well, the way that Mr. Walger was talking and he was speaking to us, and the way he had the look in his eyes, and there's a person in there. It's not like those zombies back at that old farm. It's not like any kind of, mindless undead. Those are people, I think. And,
I have the
well,
strongest feeling that if they were to be attacked, if we were to attack them, that there's very little they could do to defend themselves. And that is not the kind of attacking that I am terribly crazy about.
I'm concerned that if we were to try to bring more violence here, it would just make things worse for everyone.
That's true.
If what they say
Violence
is
only
true-
begets more violence.
If what they say is true, and they have been living down here forever, and they haven't been eating the sanctified remains of our dearly departed loved ones, and they haven't been stalking the night and grabbing people in the night, I think they've shown themselves to be trustworthy in that means. I don't know.
Yes,
Did you think that they were lying?
they were absolutely not lying. They were telling the truth. And I don't think they mean Sandpoint any harm.
Why?
But
Why do they
I'm
have
not
tunnels here then?
to escape, to go so they can feed somewhere else.
Oh, here, and she points to like the hidden tunnel that we found. Why does it lead here though?
Perhaps the goblins met their tunnel by mistake. Perhaps they met their tunnel and the other ghasts were just passing through. I don't know,
They-
but
They said something about Rip Nugget, and I know that's a villain
Yes.
of our story so far, isn't it?
all I know is that if Natalin gets where she's going, we might not get a chance to do anything about it. I have to go.
Okay. No, I'm going. I'm going. You can come too if you'd like, but I'm going.
What if I will catch Natalin, you get to your father, and Millie and Moa stay here, wait, make sure the goblins
And-
don't follow us.
Lumi gives you a particular look when you say that you'll go for Natalin. That there's a look of pain in her eyes. A little bit of a stab that you've just done to
Oh.
her.
Oh,
And
oh.
she's her face kind of just falls a little bit.
Oh
Uh,
no.
Oh, okay. As she tries her best to focus on the task at hand.
Velynia totally does not notice. She's oblivious. And I think without any further ado, Velynia just goes, phew, just like
So-
anime run, poof, a tiny cloud of smoke behind.
A quick point of order. Because I think it might have been lost in the previous discussions and in what Wolger was saying. The part of the Warrens that you're in now is also part of their Warrens. They left it to they let the goblins in under coercion from Rip
Okay.
Nugget.
Oh,
The goblins are the ones that
okay.
started digging further. But
They're the
all
ones
of
that dig-
this,
that dug up too, right?
because remember, this whole area that you guys are currently in is all braced with timber and very well secured, dug by clawed hands.
Yeah, okay.
But I just wanted to clarify
Gotcha.
that.
I think you said that, but thank
yeah,
you for
you
did.
clarifying.
So I would like to, as Velynia takes off running, I want to flip to Natalin. After you left the the undead hole. What are you
Natalin,
doing?
who's I'm sure walking very slowly or at a brisk pace at most.
Natalin, who gets distracted by numerous cabbage carts that keep walking her
If
way.
not running, I
Yes.
feel like Natalin's moving like Arthur Morgan does when you're in camp and you can't run.
That
And you just
kinda,
have that sort of quick,
damn it,
I've got a
kinda
purpose.
walk.
I've got a purpose. Natalin, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm
There you
going.
go.
I am going straight to the cathedral. I'm going to try to find Father Xanthus. Yeah, that is beelining it to Father at this point.
Go ahead and make a quick perception roll. This is going to determine basically how quickly you're able to find Father Xanthus.
24.
You find him very quickly. As you head into the cathedrals and knowing that it is morning, you're catching Father Xanthus in part of his morning ritual where he passes through each of the various sanctuaries dedicated to a different deity, and he offers his own prayers to each deity as part of his morning routine. You catch him as you approach him. You see Father Xanthus standing in the sunlight that is streaming through the stained glass, and he appears to be in the midst of prayer.
Yeah, and I think as I approach, like I am trying to control emotions, but that's not happening. So I think as I'm approaching, like that aura that surrounds her is going. It's at this point probably a little bit more fierce than it would normally be. So I feel he would notice her presence before she even says anything, because these kind of like wind and mist raindrops are going to like buffet him first as she comes up to him. But she won't interrupt she doesn't interrupt him, but like she's not going to say anything. But of course the air is just kind of flowing around her and is it's uncontrollable at this point. And she is standing there almost fidgeting, really waiting for his attention.
He sees you. You actually hear his prayer sort of faltering, and he where he basically stands with his hands inside his sleeves and head down. He sort of falters and kind of looks around for the source of what's happening and sees you there. Natalin, what brings you here and alone? I thought you and the others were delving below again.
I need your help, Father. I need your advice.
Are you all right? Is everyone else okay? Where's Lumi? How's Lumi?
Father, like she's just gonna ignore that question because her mind is fixated right now. Father, I don't know what to do. And I think she's like wants to pull him away from this altar. I don't know what altar he's at this moment. But
He's not even really in an altar. He's just standing. These
Just
sanctuaries are sort of like medieval sanctuaries. There's no pews. They're open areas of worship. And he was just standing sort of in the middle in the light of that was coming through the stained glass.
I think maybe she will go to sit at one of the pews then.
There
just
are no
kind of
pews.
sit down. Oh, no pews.
No pews.
Sorry. I think she would look somewhere then that's a little bit more private, even though there's really nobody here yet. But she's looking for somewhere that's not so open to the public.
I think he kind of determines what you're looking for, and he says, "Come." And he leads you through towards the inner part of the sanctuary, through an arched doorway that leads into a central courtyard. And there are places to sit. Come. Have a seat. Tell me what's troubling you.
I think she sits down and her hands are in her lap at this moment, and they're kind of wringing, like there's obvious distress, and she's kind of wringing her hands a little bit. Father, you know how I was sick once, right? How I almost died, and then Gosray blessed me.
Yes.
I find myself having to make a decision right now to either go against his will or those of my friends. And I don't know what to do.
You find yourself at odds with your allies.
I do.
Can you tell me the details?
You can see she's fighting hard about if she can or can't tell at this moment. And maybe if Velynia is like running,
I was gonna say,
trying to find.
I want Velynia to roll me a perception check.
Oh boy. Here we go. Ugh, not very good. 17.
Velynia, you've come up out of the hole. You're heading in, and you're searching through the sanctuaries.
Mm-hmm.
But Velynia hasn't shown up yet, Natalin.
I'm following the puddles and the gentle peals of thunder.
Is this a question, Natalin, of conscious?
It's this music and a split screen of Velynia frantically asking for directions, and then Natalin going,
You know how Gosray is. It's all about protecting the natural world.
Of course.
And anything of naught is antithesis to that.
Of course. All gods have their anathemas.
And one is tasked to purge their anathema. If one does not do this, would the god not look unkindly upon one?
I must admit that for the most part, the gods and their intentions can sometimes, not always, but sometimes can be inscrutable. But some things they've made quite clear.
And if one was to go against what they have made quite clear, would that not bring disfavor? Would that not be, what do you say, like just spitting on them, showing such disrespect?
Does this dilemma you find yourself in have to do with what you're finding in the warrens beneath the boneyard? Velynia, I think about now you kind of you run past one of the inner archway doors, and the inner courtyard of the Sandpoint Cathedral has these 9 stones, almost like a mini Stonehenge, that are sort of placed in there. And so as you've been passing through, they've been obscured, and suddenly you see You almost run past, and you see Natalin and Father Xanthus sort of sitting on these stone benches, knee to knee. Xanthus forward leaning, and Natalin looking in distress.
Velynia like walks up, straightens up as much as she can. She is very out of breath, and she's a little bit sweaty. And she would come in and she'd be like, Natalin, I need to speak with you. If I could have a moment. Please. And I kind of, at this time, I would like thumb Natalin's dagger that she gifted Velynia in debt forward, just so Natalin can notice. Kind of a reminder, like a you owe me one kind of thing.
Rude. I think she's
Velynia's
looking at
playing all her cards right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna get fucking pinched.
So Natalin at that moment, she was about to say something to Father Xanthus, and then she sees you, and you can see from her face, like, she is distraught. She is crying. She is so almost broken at this point. And she just looks at you and then sees that dagger, and I don't think she can hold it in, but she kind of just sobs and runs away from you. Runs away.
And I think Velynia would stand there, and she wouldn't chase you. She would put her hands on her hips and kind of like sigh and look down. And then she would look back up at Father Xanthus and shake her head and kind of nod and just be like, Father, and start to walk away.
This is when Lumi probably arrives on the scene. Am I too late? She says
You
to you.
see Velynia give you a very grave look and shake her head before she leaves the courtyard.
Lumi looks around, confused at this. And she'll ask you again, Velynia, like almost like nuts, like
Lumi,
miming, like.
Lumi, come with me.
Oh, okay.
We have to go clear out the Warrens. And I would just kind of like hold my hand out for Lumi to like gesture, like for her to come with me.
Oh, and she like scratches the back of her head and okay, she says, and she's trying her best just to follow along with what's going on. This is kind of above her right now. Yeah. She'll follow you.
As soon as we, I was just gonna say, as soon as we clear the courtyard, Velynia would shake her head one more time and just kind of look at Lumi and sigh and be like, I'm typically the one that knows what to do, and this time I just don't.
Well, can you talk her out of it?
I'd have to find her first, and I don't think she's in much of a talking mood.
Did she tell Father Xanthus?
I don't think so. But you didn't see the look on her face. We're really going to have a decision to make here.
I think it should be you to be the one that talks to her.
I will, but she needs time. And Millie and Moa are just sitting down in that hole. You may want to go check in with them.
Okay, I'll leave you with Natalin, she says.
Very well.
She looks down to the ground and walks back to the undead hole.
And I think as Lumi leaves, you just see Velynia like hold her face in her hands and like kind of rub her temples and is just kind of lost.
As Lumi heads back down into the undead hole, and we see Velynia sort of holding her head there. We see that the scene sort of moves to almost like what would be a drone shot, moving up, and above Sandpoint kind of shifts over and drops down where we see Natalin. Natalin standing alone on the beach. Natalin, what are you doing here at the beach?
I think once we see kind of Natalin kind of approach the beach, and she stands there for a second. She's looking out at the waves and the clouds in the sky, and she just falls to her knees in the sand and rock on the beach, and immediately just starts, you can see her head down, she's praying at this point.
And as you drop to your knees in prayer, the viewpoint will move past you, and begin to move across the rooftops, past the old light ruins, over the roof of the White Deer, pushing through the smoke coming through the chimney, up the hill towards the Sandpoint Cathedral, and stopping with the big round stained glass window of Gosre.
Oh.
And then we fade to black, and that's where we end tonight's session.
Oh my god, that is fucking wow.
I feel like tonight's
Rough.
episode might be called A Crisis of Faith.
Yes, yes, or losing my
it's
religion
not.
if you want
Oh.
something slightly
Not
more
really,
metal.
because
It's
what
you're
is
right.
it?
It's not
Natalin
really
hasn't had a crisis of nothing. Like,
true.
No,
This
Natalin
is-
knows what she believes,
this is
and Velynia
this
is
is us.
agnostic. So this is all of us.
It's the what's the word I'm looking for? The juxtaposition of the juxtaposition of faiths, really, in a multi-theocracy. There's or not really a theocracy, but a
Pantheon.
pantheon.
Polytheism.
Thank you. Polytheistic is the word I was looking for. Thank you. In a polytheistic world, you can often find yourself at odds. So this puts us in an interesting position for figuring out where things end up next week. We've got a split party.
I just thought we were gonna go have a fun genocide down in the Warrens, and now we got have feelings.
You didn't expect the the undead to come at you with parlay.
No, I did not expect the undead to be like, "Oh, we're just weak and helpless, and please don't kill us."
Hey, please, we have a
Also gifts.
functioning society down here, and it would be awfully rude of you just to commit genocide based on
We're the
immutable
only
characteristics that we can't change, even though
we're the only successful democracy in all of Galarian. Help!
we have a commune going, and these.
So
It's amazing.
you guys have lots to talk about between now and next week. I already kind of have an idea. I can fairly confidently say, Natalin, we will probably be starting with you next week. But no, this is interesting. This is very interesting. As I've told the players, I told all of you many times, this game moves in the direction and at the pace that you drive it. And you're not guaranteed that you're going to go in and have a combat encounter because you're thinking, oh, we're going to do this. I never anticipated that we were going to end up with this kind of a situation. So this is one of my favorite parts about campaigns like this, is just seeing where the players take it, and how you and your characters are going to deal with these things. So very exciting. I want
it's
to
gonna be a toughie, folks. It's gonna be tough.
I want to do a couple things here.
You know what I want to do while Jake gets ready to do a couple of things? Check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we've got all kinds of great shirts like the one I'm wearing and so many more. You get on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, stickers, mugs, and all kinds of other great stuff. Teespring.com. Just click the link in the description for this video.
So thank you for that.
You're
we
welcome.
are going to, as we come to an end on this, we're going to raid our friend Dr. Faust's painting clinic, who is painting miniatures. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who got the hype train going earlier, with 73 months from Tamiko and 71 months from Myth and Gears. We got some bits, all kinds of bits coming in. We've got Hawkmere coming in with the 10 community subs for me. We are going to be introducing GM domain dice next week.
Thanks, Hawkmere.
And
Thanks for
Thanks,
that.
Jim.
And-
Hawkmere.
Thanks.
let's not forget Lunchbox came
you,
in with
Lunchbox.
the
Thank you,
with the
Lunchbox.
8 months. So that's why you guys are sitting at 35.
And that's why we have all this great art. Oopsie.
Yes, yeah,
This great art.
Lunchbox.
Check Lunchbox's channel out. He's very talented.
Throw a shout out in there for Lunchbox. Definitely check him out. Lunchbox has some great streams.
Very chill, very cool vibes.
Thank you to everybody hanging out in the audience. Of course, we appreciate seeing all the discussions in chat during the games. And if you're somebody that likes to watch quietly, or you're watching later on the VOD, know that we appreciate you just as much and hope you enjoy our show. And of course, I want to say a huge thank you, as always, to all of you amazing players. I'm very lucky to have such awesome friends that we get to play make-believe every week, sometimes multiple times a week. Often multiple times a week, just with different different groupings of you. This is what I do. I take all my friends and I go, okay, now you guys play together. So with that, I just want to say a huge thank you, as always, to Vi, Kaeryn, Tamiko, Cari, and Jay, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
A moral quandary.
More